The stage was set, the map lineup was selected, and before the fans knew it, two South Korean Starcraft 2 legends began the fight for the 2021 GSL Super Tournament 3 crown. After defeating 2021 GSL 3 champion Cure in 3 straight games, it was the all-powerful Zerg extraordinaire Rogue who would rightfully take his seat in the Super Tournament Best of 7 Grand Final. The GSL Season 1 champion had one of the hardest runs to the Grand Final from the round of 16. Defeating Keen, Dark and Cure was no small feat, so fans knew that Rogue was prepared for anything moving into the last GSL series of the year. His opponent would be none other than Maru, who was fresh off the back of a DreamHack Masters season final victory. Classic, Hero and Solar all fell at the hands of Maru on his journey to the Super Tournament Grand Finals. If there was anyone who was going to defeat Rogue, it would surely be the King of Terran. Berlingrad would be the first map for the Grand Finals as the players strapped themselves in for a long evening ahead. Focusing on his economy and beginning his tech, Rogue defended his base from Maru's medevac drop attempts. Helions took down a handful of drones, but the damage was recoverable. At near 130 supply, Rogue went all in on Roaches and Overlord drops in Maru's Natural, a play that no one was expecting.
Well, he has a lot of units in here. He's gonna have some bunkers, but they're not ready yet. Looks like we're gonna have a dive bomb on top of the Siege Tanks. Here we go. Drops out the Queens and the Roaches. Carbon bombs on top of absolutely everything. Is Roaches starting to get inside as well. Maru with the stim there, but Rogue definitely starting to overpower a bit.
Rogue's all-in paid off big time. As Queens healed his army of Roaches and Maru's SCV death counter continued to climb, the Zerg Master claimed the first game of the Grand Final set in spectacular fashion.
What a build of these two.
Without a moment to waste, Game 2's map of Blackburn got underway. Maru went for a 3 barracks proxy play to the north of the map and started sending Marines directly to Rogue's main. Rogue detected the play and 6-pooled immediately. With Maru's plan thwarted, the Terran player changed his strategy and started to focus on the mid-game. Roaches and Ravagers were the play here, with Maru moving to heavily fortify his natural. Rogue had to consistently apply pressure as he upgraded the attack and armor of his ground-focused swarm. While Rogue attempted to dwindle down Maru's bio army in the front line, the Terran player had a devastating plan of his own, flying across the map and straight into the hive of his opponent.
Ooh, getting that lurker den would be awesome as well. He actually looks like he wants to get the hive.
That's a pretty bold bet, but he's actually going to get it.
Yeah.
Rogue is far enough out of position, and that's a really big gimme right there.
Oh my god.
With the fall of his hive, Rogue's tech and unit options were taken away from him immediately. Without a large swarm to defend, Maru was free to interrupt Rogue's mineral gathering. Rogue had one shot at defending himself, but it was too little too late as Maru surrounded his forces and continued to push forward with reinforcements. With the newfound confidence, Maru tied the Grand Final series. Game 3's map of 2,000 atmospheres is where the Terran star needed to continue that fighting flair, and by removing tumors and creating space, Maru began setting himself up for another win. With some marine drops, Maru managed to cause minor disruptions in Rogue's main. But it was this counterattack in the Terran's base that forced Maru to play defensively moving forward.
Rogue right now going for a huge counterattack.
Oh my god. That is a lot of circling. Sends a bunch towards the natural. And actually does get that surround. In the third base, he's going to kill off a siege tank, force the SCVs out of there as well.
In the meantime, he got into the natural, picked up a siege tank there. More SCVs going down. Good bailing connections.
Maru got slammed by the attack, and only moments later, more Zerglings and Banelings broke through the front line and simultaneously attacked both Maru's natural and his third. The upgraded Zerglings were fast, cheap, and heavily consistent. The frequent attacks caused a major blow to Maru's supply count. There was only so many times that Maru could reinforce his bio army before handing the game over to Rogue. One game ahead, the fight between these two iconic South Korean Starcraft 2 stars was only just beginning on the Africa TV main stage. The harsh battlefield of Curious Minds was the next map in the Rogue vs Maru Grand Final saga. And with a large number of queens defending his early third base, Rogue fended off Maru's marine aggression. Maru lost value at the 5.5-minute mark when Rogue surrounded his marines with zerglings, then melted them all down with a handful of banelings. Recovering soon after, it was at this point where Maru mounted an assault against Rogue with siege tanks safely tucked in the back line. The Zerg player suffered heavy losses at his third. With all his queens annihilated, Rogue would have to make magic happen with a small brood of Hydralisks and banelings.
These lings are going to try and get us around on the siege tanks coming from the side, but the Marines saving the day. None of the siege tanks go down. Banelings are morphing. Rogue needs some really good connections right now, but Maru's control is too good. 2 siege tanks go down, but that's a lot of Marines left with a 50 supply advantage.
Rogue was devastated from the loss as Maru tied the series to 2 games aside. Hardwire would be the map of choice for Game 5, and as it turned out, the longest game of the Grand Final series. A convoy of Hellions bit the dust after Zerglings and Queens came to the aid of Rogue's southernmost base. Maru's marine drops were consistently forced out as Rogue teched into Hydralisks to deal with the current and future aerial threats. By the 10-minute mark, Lurkers were revealed as the go-to ground unit for Rogue, which meant Ghost Tech would be the next play to come out of Maru. Siege tanks and supply walls were built to defend. Rogue quickly found himself at a standstill against an immovable object. The answer to that was Nidus worms. Maru's SCVs were forced to move out as Lurkers began tearing his natural apart piece by piece. Zerglings simultaneously attacked from the front, but Maru had this one under control. More than 20 minutes went by, and Maru continued to defend from all sides. Rogue kept the pressure going, but Maru was always a step ahead. Ghosts were sniping down Lurkers, then leaving the battle safely. Maru knew which fights to pick, and preserved his minerals where he could on the now resource-starved map. In the final minutes of the game, it was a grueling fight for the top left of the map, where the bulk of the resources remained.
You see a lot of these hatcheries for Rogue, they only have 4 patches, only 8 drones can effectively mine at a time, and you start to see his income falter, and right now he's going to go in for an attack.
The Hydra's on the high ground here, trying to get something done, but Maru's army way too efficient.
The most aggressive player in the game became mineral-starved by the half-hour mark. Through great defense, resource management, and Ghosts finding their targets, Maru took the tournament lead. The Terran star won the marathon game, proving to fans that he was still alive in the competition. Sitting at tournament point, Maru kicked off the map of glittering ashes with some Hellbat drops. Rogue lost many Zerglings in the early split play, but it was nothing that he couldn't handle. Widow mines with the drilling claw upgrade were dropped into Rogue's natural, but the Zerg player was more than prepared for it as he made short work of the Medivacs. Rogue's iconic Zergling Baneling strategy started to unfold yet again as Maru was forced to bunker down at the 10-minute mark. Maru attempted his own counter-attack while his worker casualties continued to climb. With 2-2 in upgrades and Maru's forces crippled from the previous attack, Rogue went for the jugular.
Another wing run by coming in right now, and this is a small bio army. The tank goes down as well. Things might be snowballing out of control right now.
Yeah, it does look that way. Another siege tank falls. The wall's not full. GG is called.
Both players looked exhausted as the GSL Super Tournament entered its final hour. The scores were levelled at 3 aside. It would be the massive map of Pride of Altaris that would decide the winner of the final GSL event on the 2021 calendar. Maru went in on a double barracks proxy play, but it was immediately scouted by Rogue with a passing Overlord only a minute into the game. Saved by the SCV's building animation, Maru's workers survived long enough to complete the first barracks. Marine production commenced. With the bunker dropped at the foot of Rogue's base, Maru was planning on containing him to his corner of the map. but Rogue fought back only seconds later, catching out Maru's retreating Marines with the Zergling speed upgrade. Maru's attacks on both sides were pushed back. Rogue's creep was heavily fortified as he continued to tech into his now famous Zergling-Baneling combination. Consistency was key for Rogue. Zerglings and Banelings continue to sacrifice themselves to keep Maru's numbers down. Pressured from both the left and right, Maru was forced to play defensively. Split between the north and south of his base, the Terran Star built what he could to hold on. Lurkers made their way onto the battlefield. Rogue had the resources to spare, while Maru's worker count dropped to a critical level. The continuous attacks decimated Maru to the point of no return.
32 more Banelings in production, 16 more Zerglings. This is going to be a level of Ling Baneling that we might have not ever seen in the GSL before. This army that comes through is going to be overpowering. These numbers are insane.
And more Lings going up towards that main base as well. GG!
After a marathon 7 games, the tournament favourite finally defeated his opponent and earned the title of GSL Super Tournament 3 champion.
Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with the amazing esport content from around the gaming globe. Only on Unbeaten Esports.